Okay, so we're doing the review for Chapter 2, the Chapter 2 test, Part 1, Question 4. So it says, find the coordinates of the other endpoint of the segment, given its midpoint and one endpoint. Okay, what does that mean? Let's stop. Really, oh, here I have a picture. It really means they're going to give us an endpoint, they're going to give us the midpoint, and we have to find the other endpoint. That's what it just said in that sentence. Let's finish reading it. Oh, it's messy. And it says, hint, let xy be the unknown point. And it says apply the midpoint formula, so we're going to use the midpoint formula and solve two equations for x and y. Okay, so let's just look at an example from our textbook, our book. So it says we have one endpoint P, and we have a midpoint M. So here's P, and here's M that they give us, and it says, please find the other endpoint. So we let this endpoint we don't know, we say let it be xy, because we don't know what it is. So now we have to use the midpoint formula, and all we do, okay, is we take this, and we say, okay, if I want to find my x value for my midpoint, I just add my two x's. So I'm going to take this and this, add them together, divide by 2. But I already know my answer. I know my midpoint x value is 8. So I just put it here. And then I solve for x. So I have to get rid of this 2. So I multiply both sides by 2. And 2 divided by, what's 2 over 2? 1. So that's gone. It becomes 16. Now I have to solve for x. So get rid of this negative 6. Add 6 to both sides. So then I find out x is equal to 22. So that's my x value for this endpoint. Now I do the exact same thing with y. I take 12 plus y, 12 plus y, divide by 2. And then I said, oh, but I already know the answer of the midpoint. The answer is going to be negative 2. So now I have to solve for y. So to get rid of this 2 on the bottom, I'm going to multiply both sides by 2. Remember, 2 over 2 is equal to 1. So that's 1. So that's gone. And then I'm left with this. So I'm going to get rid of the 12. So subtract 12 from both sides. And now I'm left with y equals 16. So that's my y value for this endpoint. So you can see if I graph it, here's the point they gave me, here's the point they gave me, and we found this point. Okay, so we're going to do the same thing, but with the points that they gave us for our question. So let's draw. So my midpoint is minus 9, 8. It's called M. One endpoint is this. Let's call it P. Negative 18, 14. Let's call this one Q. We don't know it, so we just call it XY. Oh, you can't see anything I'm writing. So what I did is I just drew it. I put my midpoint in the middle, I put my end point here, and then I said, okay, let's call it Q, and I gave it XY because we don't know the points for this. So I'm going to, what's my midpoint formula? I add my x's, and then I add my y's. So first I'm going to find this one. So my x's are this, minus 18 plus x over 2, but I already know the answer is going to be minus 9, so I do this. Now if I want to do the y's, I'm going to add my y values, but I already know the answer is going to be 8, like that. So now let's solve for x. So I'm going to multiply this side by 2, this side by 2. 2 divided by 2 is 1, so I get negative 18 equals negative 18 plus x. Oh, before I check the answer. So I go plus 18, because that makes x by itself. So x equals 0. Ooh, so now 0 is my first coordinate, my x coordinate. Now solve for y here. I'm going to multiply both sides by 2. And that's going to get rid of that, because remember 2 over 2 equals 1. So then I have 14 plus y equals 16. Now I'm going to subtract 14, because that makes y by itself. Y equals 2. So now y equals 2. So now I know my other endpoint is going to be 0, 2. And that's all I have to do.